This is what feels like my first official workout program where I finally have the hang of the ISO chain. Last year has been a lot of trial and error, seeing all the different styles and what worked for me with my training and what didn't. I've had some successes, I've had some setbacks, I've had some injuries, all self-inflicted, of course, that's on me. I feel like I finally got in the groove and it's looking pretty good. I found that a 1x6 really works well for me. The gains have been consistently going up except for just one lift, which I'm going to cover in a bit later in this video, so stay tuned for that. So let's go over exactly what's going on with this workout program. Alright, so I'm going to cover the ISO chain workout programs first. It's simply an upper and lower split that I do 6 times a week. The upper body consists of the seated row, the skull crusher, the shoulder press, the bicep curl, the reverse curl, the modified bench press, which I'll show you guys in a second, the front raise, and the shoulder shrug. Each of those is literally 1x6. It takes me about 5 minutes to do that, if that. Honestly, 5 minutes is if I'm screwing around. Switching to lower body, I have not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 belt squats. Each one is a 6-second contraction, so I'm almost doing a 6x6 with it. So I'm doing 4x6. That leaves only 4 other lower body exercises because I'm only doing 8 per upper, 8 per lower. That leaves the deadlift, which is more of a total body. I know we could argue that. The RDL, the standing calf raise, and the seated calf raise. I like a little bit of variation in my calf setup. The standing one really works well for hitting the gastroc, and the seated one really works well for hitting the soleus. Just like in the weight room, it's the same principle there, and it feels exactly the same with the ISO chain. So I figure if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's been now a little over a month of going over this workout program, and I've had great success. Everything's been on the incline. It actually is better than the 6x6 in the sense that I feel that the 1x6 just flows really nicely with my weightlifting. And it really reminds me of Bruce Lee's workout, because Bruce Lee was into everything as well. We all know that. And his workout, the Dragon, if you haven't seen that on the channel, here's a link right here, you can check that out, was very similar. I think he was also doing 8. I could be wrong. I made that video like almost a year ago now, so go ahead and check that out. I believe it's 8. He goes from 6 to 12 seconds with a couple different variations of exercise on his ISO chain. But 8 works very well for me. It's something where I'm just like, yo, I'm ready to kill these numbers. Now I'm gonna show you guys the numbers right now. All in all, pretty good. Check out the bicep increase. My goal was to hit 200 by the end of the year, and I hit it, man. I was so surprised. I didn't feel like I was, ready to kill it that day, but I just happened to be looking down at the number, and I'm just seeing it. I'm like, yo, did that just say 170, 180? Dang, 190, dang, I feel like the missing link was really doubling down on my core strength, because my core had gotten weak. There was a lot of BS that I've dealt with this year. The main issue was my lower back crippling me for, I would say, at least 6 months since I pulled it in November. It's just been a back and forth battle ever since, and I'm finally able to train my abs the way I want to without any pain. Everything's going well. My knees are still good, thank the Lord. Everything feels like it's working as one cohesive unit. And I feel like now the total body tension and iso tension, those 2 areas are really starting to excel. And thereby, you don't see me swinging anymore like in the early videos of the channel. I just really focus on, it's really controlled. And the ISO chain is still, I'm a little over a year now. It takes technique, it takes form. It was a new product. I had to practice it. So I wasn't a newbie anymore. So that swinging and stuff, that was newbie stuff. So shout out to Ray Green for teaching me, and thereby the channel, iso tension and total body tension. They have been an absolute game changer. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about with those 2 very important isometric techniques, here's a link right here. Go ahead and check that out. They're 2 separate videos, so go ahead and check out NoLimitSquad iso tension and NoLimitSquad total body tension. They are a little different. Now, let's go into the weightlifting aspect. The weightlifting has been absolutely phenomenal. Here is my workout program. I'm going to lay it out in sections. I have 2 exercises in my program for each day that work the abs. Abs are super important. I really believe that the increase in ab strength is strengthening up everything else. And remember, you know, those old movies, man, everything come from center, all right? There's a lot of truth, not even some, there's a lot of truth to that. The stronger your abs are, the stronger everything you do gets. Take that home to the bank. I'll bet the entire channel on that. Lots and lots and lots of volume. Now notice for the legs starts to get really weird. I have about, 5 to 6 workouts there, I believe it's 6. And pretty much the entirety of 2021, and honestly, let's be real, 2020, I have been doing a lot of rehab for my legs. For the OGs of the NoLimitSquad channel, I told you, with that video on the iso chain fixed my knees were so bad, demonstrating a body weight lunge. I mean, a simple body weight lunge, just stationary, feet stationary, just lowering my center, hurt like hell, all right? So I had to recover from that. The circumference around, like the above, like for my knees, right? So right above the knee, like started to measure the very beginning of the quadricep, where the teardrop starts, was only 13 inches in diameter. That is sad. That is very sad. And that's how much it atrophied. Just recently, I measured it and it was about 16 and a half. The right leg is 17. The left knee was the one with the most damage. So 16 and a half left, 17 inches right. So making some pretty decent progress here. The mid thigh, it's all gonna come. My legs are definitely feeling thicker because of the belt squat. And no, I'm not just talking the iso chain belt squat. I'm talking Matt Wenning's belt squat. Now I got a variation of Matt Wenning's belt squat, which is the Titan belt squat. Now here is a link right there. I am not affiliated with them at all, but it's one of those things where just like the iso chain, I need to freaking give credit where it's due. That is a phenomenal machine, and for anyone that's suffering or suffered from lower back issues like myself, there's a lot of things that can go wrong there. It might just be a weak glutes, underdeveloped quads or hams, injuries to the knee, or what have you. The body really doesn't like a lot of compressive forces, so the belt squat actually takes that away, thereby allowing us to really hit depth with just nearly a 1-to-1 transfer, which is almost emulating the squat. So it's just quads and hams without the spinal compression. It's a fantastic machine. I mean, it is great. And every session I'm crawling out of that machine. Matt Wenning, thank you so much. Side note, when you type in belt squat, a lot of Matt Wenning stuff will show up, but if you keep scrolling, NoLimitSquad's belt squat with the iso chain, it shows up. We ranking, boys and girls. The results are pretty good. I am heavily focused on legs, but I'm not just gonna neglect my upper body. That's ridiculous. But my goal before the year's out, now it's December 5th as of this recording, my goal is to do 10 sets of 10 at 405 on the belt squat. And it almost took everything to do 375. What's hilarious about that is the fact that this with 10 sets of 10, 1 set of 10 with half the weight would have been a pipe dream had the iso chain not fixed my knees. That is a whole side note. I'm not gonna go into that. I feel like combining the iso chain's belt squat along with Matt Wenning's belt squat has been a match made in heaven for my legs. I mean, they have never really felt this thick, and I've leg pressed over 1,000 pounds many times before. And even though the mechanical tension on that movement is really high, and I always felt it in my quads, I never really felt it like this. I mean, there's just something about a squat, guys. That's why the squat has always been #1. I know a lot of people may debate that, but I always put it as like squat, leg press, lunge. Those are my top 3 for building some massive thighs, or just strong thighs, depending on how you train, of course. For the longest time, I really wanted to just go hard, but my knees wouldn't let me. So now the iso chain is finally fixed that up. I could finally hit legs up the way I've always wanted to, and I couldn't be happier right now. So thanks again, Dragon Door. The calves, I've noticed I'm hitting like really high numbers for not only the strength, I knew the strength was high, but also the volume now. So, with more strength, you are going to get a little bit of endurance carryover. It's kind of like if you're training for strength, right? And we're always doing sets in the strength rep range, you're still gonna get a little bit of muscle hypertrophy added onto it. I mean, that's just part of the game. same thing. And I've noticed a lot with my calves. My calves are, I'd probably say, the strongest they've ever been. So it's gonna be frightening next year. Probably coming back and looking at this video later next year and being like, dang, I was only at that level. I know a lot of y'all on the squad probably gonna say that too, utilizing overcoming and yielding isometric training tactics that we've learned on this channel and from obviously Paul Wade's isometric manual, man. It's the move. I would say the only other lifts that have stood out in the last month switching to this program after coming off that iso chain only 6x6 challenge have been the barbell shoulder press, like I said, the belt squat, and the bench press. Now remember what I said earlier, I was doing the bench press on the iso chain, but how can that be? I was waiting to really show this thanks to a client of mine who was telling me about this during a session. We essentially found, well, I don't want to say he did. I'm going to give him all the credit because he's the one that said it. Came up with essentially an incline bench press. Now, is it perfect? No, it isn't. But I do notice a carryover. And as you can see here, I'm hitting this bench for 325. I have never done that in my entire life. It was a nice single. My friend here, also my client, was recording me, and I'm like, you know what, I'm feeling it. Let me just see what happens. You know, we have the safety bars here. I have the safety set up to come all the way down to maybe an inch off from my chest, because when I do bench, I have it touch my chest. Now, not slam off my chest and bounce. That's ridiculous. I have it tap, a little love tap. I really haven't benched that much this year. It was pretty much in the early parts of the year. And I just picked it back up after this 6x6 challenge, which was, what, October? So I've been off the game of bench pressing for, what, 8 months or something like that? So to come right back into 315, I think is a huge testament to the power of stronger tendons, stronger muscles, more efficient muscles, and crazy push-producing power that overcoming isometric training has allowed for not only me, but pretty much everyone on the channel that's been utilizing that technique, but it's allowed us to do. I'm excited. My workout program for the next 6 weeks is almost written up. I will more than likely keep the iso chain protocol a 1x6 because it just seems to be working really well, and I'll just mess around with some other metrics like maybe changing the chain link up and maybe the duration of the hold. Maybe I'll go for 7 or 8 seconds, you know, work on time under tension. One of the things I really do want to work on is increasing my time under tension for my calves. So the seated calf raise, I'm gonna stop going for 6 seconds, and I'm going to instead switch up and go for 2 hypertrophy holds at 45 seconds for the seated. I feel like that is going to be a monster ass calf raise, and I'm super excited for the hypertrophy gains that will come from that. But other than that, guys, just wanted to share that with you. A little bit of fitness vlogging and showing you guys what's happening. It's important to show you guys that. Alright guys, so until the next one, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, be sure to drop a like, go ahead and comment, and if you're not yet part of the squad, hit the subscribe button, come join the squad with us. I'll see you next video.